Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Complete Sports Media Podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. We've got a great breakdown today. We're going to be joined by Dale Cory. We're going to talk some baseball. It's going to be a lot of fun, so can't wait. I'm glad you're joining us. Let's get into it right now. Hi, Dale. How are you?
Darren, I am awesome. It's been beautiful sunshine, lots of heat here in the Okanagan, but we're actually getting a little bit of rain today, so it's a nice break.
Yeah, why don't we switch just briefly to baseball? As I said, I haven't been focusing in as much, as usual, but why don't we talk a little bit about the National League East, where your Mets are kind of middle of the road right now, have a 5-8 record to begin with. They came out looking so well that opening day, and I thought, oh wow, this is going to be a great team. But yeah, they've struggled a bit coming out of the gate.
Yeah, they've got some injuries now. Robinson Cano is out. McNeil is out. Cespedes didn't show up to the ballpark last week and then announced that he wasn't going to finish the season. I just you can sit back and just shake your head at some of these guys and wonder what they're thinking. It just doesn't bode well for him being that team player, and it's about the team. No individual on any sport, in any sport, on any team is bigger than the team itself. Everybody's got to come together collectively to be successful. And yeah, I had to shake my head at Cespedes. He's in the last year of his contract. He's really only had the one good year in 2015 when the Mets went to the World Series and lost to the Royals. He had a great season and a great playoff in the World Series. But since then, he's got injured on his farm, not even playing baseball, hasn't come back to normal, and then to walk away is just a very strange thing. But they've struggled. They've had some injuries. It's just such a short season at 60 games that you can't afford to get off to a bad start. They're 5-8 now, and they can turn that around in 1 weekend and be a 500 ball club again. Miami is 5-1 right now, and Don Mattingly's got them playing pretty good ball right now. They've of course struggled with COVID-19 and had a lot of players out and staff as well. Same with Philadelphia in that division, but they're both playing again, and in a lot of ways, it's good to see a young team like Miami. Nobody picked them not to finish last in that division. Everybody had them pegged for the final spot. And the fact that it's still early, but they're 5-1 is a good thing to see for Miami right now.
Yeah, that was a shock because they were the team that just got massacred with COVID. They had about 20 positive cases out of that team, and they've
Mm-hmm.
had to just go into their farm system, try to make some trades. Don Mattingly had to work his magic and try to assemble a team. Both them and the Phillies have only played 6 games, and the rest of the teams in almost all the league have played about 13. So they're definitely behind the 8 ball there, but. Marlins swept the O's this past week. One of the guys that was on the roster that made me laugh was a guy, he won a speed skating silver medal in the 2014 Olympics. And I don't know where they ended up getting the guy. He must have played baseball somewhere, and he's in his 30s, I think, and they brought him in as a replacement player. So yeah, it might be really fun to see some type of documentary coming from that team. If they're enabling anybody access with cameras to see
Yeah.
the ragtag bunch of guys that have had to come together to assemble that team.
Well, and you think with all teams, because there's no minor league ball getting played right now, so they should all have access to a lot of players. And I know major league teams and have been criticized to some degree because some have just dropped the funding for those minor league teams and left them in a lurch. And they really rely on the support of Major League Baseball just to keep going in a lot of cases. So, I mean, the Vancouver Canadians, single A ball, are not playing this year. And I know you've had Rob on numerous times to talk about what's happening with them. And it was great to see a couple of weeks ago when they came out with the ability for fans to rent out Nat Bailey Stadium for a few hours and get everybody together. And I was living in the Lower Mainland. I'd have my ball team from Chilliwack in there, and we'd be renting that place out because we could have some fun for a couple hours.
Yeah.
But they're getting innovative in what they can do. But it's just unfortunate. But there should be a lot of young players, minor league players that can't play ball right now that have some talent that are close to making it to Major League Baseball that those teams should have access to. Their rosters are still limited, but there should be enough players out there that, in my mind, the rosters maybe needed to be expanded more in case somebody got into a bad COVID situation with a lot of players testing positive, that they'd have more players to have access to. But hopefully they finish the season. Maybe Major League Baseball took the wrong path in allowing teams to travel and play home games and obviously go to other cities as well. Unlike hockey and basketball that have hub cities, and basketball's got one, NHL has two, and because of it, there's been very few cases, I think, that we've heard coming out of those two leagues so far, whereas Major League players are going into airports, they're traveling on buses and moving around a lot more, and we've seen the COVID pandemic affect baseball much more than the other sports at this point.
Yeah, no, I was disappointed in baseball's thought process on, we can make this work by traveling around. The MLS, NBA, and NHL all were really smart putting together this bubble, and there hasn't been cases, barely at all since they entered the bubble safe and sound and clear of COVID, and they've been able to keep it away. So we're hoping baseball can make it. There's lots of games to be had. Like I said, about most of the teams have played about 12, 13 games. Mets had 13 games in 13 days, so today's their first day off. They start a 7-game homestand tomorrow. They play Miami 3 games and Washington 4. So it'll be interesting to see Miami against your Mets, to see what kind of team they assemble. Stroman is going to be throwing a simulated game today, so that's good news. Hopefully he has a good result there and he can come back. And good news about Robinson Cano. Supposedly he's only going to need those 10 games from initial injury to get back at it. So I'm happy about that. I was really disappointed in Cespedes. He could have easily just came out and said, I just don't feel safe. I just don't think this, the way we're, going about it, I can stay away from COVID. But to just not show up, not call them, not answer their phone, just seems like a very immature type of move. And, I think, this could spell the end for him in New York, acting this way.
Yeah, I think he's done in New York. I mean, his contract is over now. So essentially, what a way to go out. You sign a 5-year contract, and it was in the 130, 140 million range, I think, and had the one good season, hadn't played in 2 full years, left the 2018 season midway through and came back now for the 2020 season. But yeah, it's just a strange one. I mean, he's on the team I cheer for, but that matters not. I still have to question it. And how do you not be open with your teammates? You've come back to a training camp. You're 2 weeks into the season and playing some games now. At least have the gumption to come back to the ballpark, come into the locker room and say, hey, I don't feel safe. I'm sorry, guys, but I can't play anymore. But didn't show up. Nobody knew where he was, and then found out after the game he had let management know that he wasn't comfortable playing any more games. So you can question some of that. He's the one that's, and it was his best opportunity, to come through in this 60-game season and perform well, since he hasn't played for a couple of years, and really write his ticket to another big contract for a few years. Well, now that's out the window, and everybody's got to be a little scared of signing Yoenis Cespedes because of all that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Well, there have been some teams emerging as some of the front runners. We talked last time, Yankees and Dodgers were the 2 teams that were supposed to meet in the World Series, but we'll see how that pans out. Dodgers are 9-4, and the Yankees are 9-2. Yankees are dominating that AL East. There's no other team that's above 500 yet. The Jays are struggled to a 4-5 start. Hyun-Jin Ryu's looked good, but the Jays are just kind of sort of middle of the road, like a lot of people expected. Because of this short season and expanded playoffs, a lot of people had some hope that we would see the Jays, contending for a playoff position. But I don't know. 4-5 start doesn't look too good. The possibility of getting one of those wild card positions.
Yeah, it's just tough for teams. I mean, they're only a game under 500, and it's not that bad, but you can't fall very far behind. You start to really lag back a little bit. You just don't have the games to catch up on. I mean, in the Mets case, they've had some good Augusts the last couple of years and put themselves into a playoff contention and races. But when you only have 60 games. You can't get off to a 5-15 start or something like that and expect to come back in the final 40 games. You've got to really turn it around then, and that's unlikely to be the case. So with the Blue Jays, I mean, there's some great young talent there as well. I mean, it might take them that little bit more time to come together and gel as a unit, but there's a lot of talent there. Obviously, there's a lot of Blue Jay fans in Canada, being Canada's team that way, and they're in the other league. I wish them the best of luck. I'd love to see them knock off the Yankees and the Red Sox and some of those big teams a little bit more. But yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle to start off with as well.
Yeah, it's too bad. The Cubs have won 6 straight. They're 10-2, dominating the National League Central. The A's have won 5 straight. They're doing really good in the West. Got a couple game lead on the Astros. Rockies and Dodgers are battling out at the top of the National League West, and Twins are 10-2, really looking strong. That Central is looking good with White Sox and Indians, and the Tigers all playing pretty well. Yeah, it's going to be nice to see it shape up as the summer wears on. I'm excited for a lot of things. The only thing that really made me sad the other day was seeing Mike Soroka go down with that Achilles tear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just been such an amazing player out of Canada, coming to Atlanta and having tons of success last year in his rookie year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was his second start this year, and he tried chasing the ball out towards first base and blew out his Achilles. Yeah, I was really disappointed. Yeah, did you see that right after it happened?
I didn't see the play itself. I knew he had gone down and was now out, and that's going to be the tough thing. I think for a lot of players, you're used to going to training or to spring training in February and starting those Grapefruit League games or Cactus League games and starting the season that first week in April, to give you enough time to ease into it, to get your arm together, your legs together. You see guys go too hard at times at the beginning, and they often get injured, and that could keep them out for a long period of time. So it's unfortunate for Soroka, yeah, because he had such a great year last year. But it's a quick season. It's there's an asterisk beside it. It's kind of a write-off for a lot of teams. You happen to do well, win a championship, it's a bonus for you. Most teams, even though they all want to win a World Series, in this case of baseball, most teams can look at this season and just, hey, let's just get through this season and finish it off. And luckily, I think for baseball, being the timing of the pandemic and everything, that even though it's a shorter season, they'll kind of go through their season on time, unlike other sports like baseball or hockey and basketball that are playing playoffs in August and September, which is just unusual. Normally they're off and having their break, and they won't get much of a break this year, whereas baseball can kind of play a normal season and finish off and play a normal season next year. So hopefully these guys that are getting injured can get themselves healthy again so that they're ready for spring training next February.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, you're right. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's good that they're going to finish in October like baseball normally does, and yeah, we'll be able to see the real playoff games when it really matters, and it's always fun to that October these baseball games are just a joy to watch, and so much on the line, and yeah, it's going to be interesting with more teams this time, but it'll go down to the real nitty gritty at the end of October, sometimes into just the early first week of November. But yeah, baseball's lucky for that, that it came around this time.